I am telling you there is wisdom behind this peace treaty. What happens is, after this peace treaty, Rasulullah comes, Suhail comes. Suhail comes, he says, let's write down this peace treaty between us, the Quraysh, and you, the Muslims. We don't want to fight you. Let's write a peace treaty. Who writes it down? Ali ibn Abi Talib. Rasulullah comes, he says, in the name of Allah, the most kind, the merciful. Write it down, Ali. Imam Ali writes, in the name of Allah, the most kind. Suhail says, stop. Why? He says, if we believed Allah was the most kind, the most merciful, we wouldn't be fighting here. Rub out the most kind, rub out the merciful. Imam Ali says, shall I do it, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah says, yes. In the name of Allah. Stop. Then he says, Ali, write down Muhammad, Rasulullah. Suhail says, stop. Why? He says, if I believed Muhammad was Rasulullah, you think I'm going to be here in a peace treaty? Remove. This Suhail sounds like a character. He says remove, and straight away he removes it. Ali ibn Abi Talib, of course, at first is saying, Ya Rasulullah, how can I remove something that I was the first witness to? But Rasulullah says to him, Ali, remove it for now. Let's make a treaty with them. And he begins to write the terms of the treaty. One part of the treaty is what? There will be no fighting between the Muslims and the Quraysh for a period of 10 years. Muhammad saw Sumayya killed, Yasir killed, rubbish on top of his head, people trying to kick him in sujood, Abu Lahab putting wood in front of him, people sending his Muslims to Ethiopia. What does he do? He eventually comes in the 6th year of Hijrah. Number one, the Muslims and the Quraysh, there will be no fighting between them for 10 years. Number two, we will come next year and we will perform the Hajj and the people will be removed. We will come without any fear of the Quraysh. Again, Umar ibn al-Khattab comes to Rasulullah. Look at this. Look at this lack of respect for Rasulullah. He says, Muhammad, didn't you say we were going to go around the Kaaba? Didn't your Lord tell you? He says, yes, my Lord told me. He said, didn't your Lord tell you this year we're going to go? He said, no, I never said this year. I said, my Lord told me we're going to be victorious. We're going to go around the Kaaba. But I never said this year. I said we will be victorious. So again, he put that as number two. Number three, listen to what Rasulullah says, brothers. Rasulullah writes down, if any of the Quraysh have any of their people become Muslims, and their people want to come from Mecca to Medina, the Muslims must return him back to his Qurayshi owner. If a Quraysh, who's an unbeliever, has one of his people become a Muslim, and this Muslim wants sanctity in Medina, Rasulullah wrote, we will send him back to you. But if one of our Muslims becomes an apostate, and he goes towards Mecca, then you can keep him and do what you want. Again, the companions came. They said, Muhammad, what's wrong with you? You're telling us that if a person converts to Islam, he comes towards Islam, we've got to send him back to Quraysh. And if a person leaves Islam, we leave him to go to them? He said, do not worry, I am a person who abides by my treaties. Allah will bring us a victory. Rasulullah, at this moment, he said to them, he said, oh my companions, go and cut your hair. Not only go and cut your hair, go and sacrifice. They didn't listen. No way. They said, you promised us a victory. There has been no victory at all. Again he says, oh my companions, sacrifice something and go and cut your hair. No way. My companions, a third time. Again they didn't listen. Only when Rasulullah himself did it, did they suddenly say, okay, if Muhammad does it, we'll do it as well. Eventually what happened was that the greatest treaty was achieved. Umar ibn al-Khattab still wants to break the treaty. How? How does he want to break this treaty? Sayyid Sharafuddin writes in the book An-Nas wal-Ijtihad. It's out in English for some of the brothers. So Sayyid Sharafuddin was the one who was in Al-Muraja'at, the dialogue. He's written this book. He says there was a person who was the son of that Suhail. You know the one who was doing the treaty? His son had been imprisoned. He found a way out and he came running to Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I've got out of prison and now I'm away from my father. Rasulullah said, you have to go back. He said, what do you mean, Ya Rasulullah? I've got out of the Qurayshi prison. What do you mean I have to go back? He said, my son, listen to me. I have made the treaty and I never break my treaties. I promised the Quraysh that if any of their people come towards us, we as Muslims must return them. Again, the people were bewildered. What is Muhammad trying to sort out? What Rasulullah was trying to sort out was the greatest thing any prophet of God could sort out as a religious figure. Without any sword, Rasulullah now opened the floodgates to build the greatest state in Islam. Why? Because number one, now the Quraysh and the Muslims could mix with each other. Before, no Muslim could go to Quraysh in peace, and no Quraysh could go to Medina. Now a Muslim could go to Quraysh, he could go to Mecca, he could see his relatives and slowly invite them towards Islam. Muslims claim they know Muhammad. Muslims do not know Muhammad. The day Muslims know Muhammad, the world will shake. Rasulullah knew that I am opening the doors and I have not even lifted one sword. That's why Rasulullah said, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah is the greatest event that happened in my life, greater than anything else I saw. Muhammad, you saw Mi'raj. Muhammad, you saw every event. He said Hudaybiyah is the greatest event. That's why on his way back, Umar ibn al-Khattab again looks at me and says, I do not believe we have been victorious. We have shown ourselves as very weak in front of the Quraysh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verse in the Quran, Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. We have opened for you, Muhammad, the greatest victory anyone can ever have. Because now you're going to see that you're going to be extremely successful with the Quraysh. Because they're going to floodgate into you. Mecca is going to come back to you the following year. Exactly that following year, Rasulullah comes back and he is there worshipping his Lord. Not only this, we notice as well, Rasulullah made a treaty. Understand this. There was a treaty between two tribes. One was Banu Bakr and the other was Banu Khuza'ah. Banu Bakr, they stayed with an allegiance to the Quraysh. Understand this point so you know, when we come to the verses about kill them, where you see them, what is its basis? Banu Bakr, they came, they had made a treaty with the Quraysh. Banu Khuza'ah made a treaty with Rasulullah. Banu Khuza'ah, Rasulullah said, Banu Bakr can no way come and affect Rasulullah or Banu Khuza'ah in any way. Banu Bakr had to be respectful. The following year, what happened was, Banu Bakr, they attacked Banu Khuza'ah. Therefore, they had broken the treaty. Rasulullah had made a treaty that we will respect your rights if you respect what we are acting. But if you are going to break this treaty, then we're going to have to fight you. He had given them the warning. What happened was, Rasulullah, he came back, and the verse in the Quran, as soon as he heard that the Banu Bakr, as soon as he heard they had attacked Banu Khuza'ah, the verse Allah revealed to him, بَرَاءَةٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ إِلَى الَّذِينَ عَاهَدتُّم مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Surah number 9 in the Quran was what? Surah At-Tawbah, Surah Bara'ah. It's the only surah in the Quran where Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not mentioned. For the reason was that there was an ultimatum now to the Quraysh, that we are the ones who made the treaty with you, that you would not break this treaty. What did they do? They broke the treaty. So what did the Quran say? The Quran says, فَسِيحُ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ. Go and travel in the earth for 4 months. And then the Quran goes to say, وَأَذَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولَهِ إِلَى النَّاسِ يَوْمِ الْحَجِّ الْأَكْبَرِ أَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولَهِ. The Quran says that we made an announcement very clear, that Allah and His Prophet, they don't want to have any allegiance with these mushriks again. Because however many times I make a treaty which is peaceful with them, all they ever do is break it with me. Whenever I want to open the doors with them. Then the Quran says, understand this brother, Surah 9 verse number 4, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ عَاهَدتُّم مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ ثم لم ينقصوكم شيئا ولم يظاهروا عليكم أحدا أتموا إليهم عهدهم إلى مدتهم. The Quran says, you fight everyone who broke the treaty, except the ones who did not break the treaty. You with them, remain peaceful with them. Look at what the Quran says. You don't just kill anyone. No. When Muhammad fights, you fight those who broke the covenant. But it said, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ أَحَدْتُم مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَنقُصُوكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَمْ يُظَاهِرُوا عَلَيْكُمْ أَحَدًا أَتِمُّوا إِلَيْهِمْ عَهْدَهُم. With those people, make sure you maintain the covenant. Then the Quran says, فَإِذَا انْسَلَخَ الْأَشْهُرُ الْحُرُمُ فَاقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَيْثُ وَجَدتُّمُوهُم. When these 4 holy months have passed, look how Islam, what it does. Not only had the Quraysh broken the treaty, the Quran says we'll give you 4 months of leeway. In these 4 months, go and look at yourself. Go and look at the way you've broken your treaties. If these 4 months are over, and you still maintain your belief, فَاقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَيْثُ وَجَدتُّمُوهُم وَخُذُوهُمْ وَاحْصُرُوهُمْ وَاقْعُدُوا لَهُمْ كُلَّ مَرْصَدٍ. Look what the Quran is saying. Then you kill the disbeliever wherever you see him. Only after what? If he has broken the covenant, and after the 4 holy months, then that is the time that you kill him. But then it says, وَإِنْ أَحَدٍ مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ اسْتَجَارَكَ فَأَجِرْهُ. If any of the mushriks come and they say to you, Muhammad, we need your help, then help